Kia ora e te iwi, no mai hara mai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda Hunia tōku ingoa. Well, it's official. New Zealand lightweight Dan Hooker's opponent has been announced and the fight will go down on December the 3rd in Texas. Here is UFC President Dana White with all the details.
What's up, everybody? UFC is returning to Austin, Texas on December 2nd at the Moody Center. The main event is number 4 ranked Derrick Lewis versus number 8 Arman Tsarukyan. Two elite lightweights, no holes in their game, 26 finishes between them, 15 in the first round. Derrick Lewis is a long-time veteran trying to remain at the top, and Tsarukyan is the guy that many people believe has the best shot of anyone in the top 15 at taking out Islam Makhachev. He's been the dark horse of the division, and a win here puts him in the top 4 on the verge of a title shot. The co-main event, number 9 Dan Hooker faces number 12 Bobby Green. That is also 5 rounds. Dan is that anywhere, anytime type fighter. 18 of his 23 wins are by finish. He's well-rounded, but known for his aggressive striking style. Bobby is on fire. Coming off a 30-second knockout only a month ago, he was the main event. Green will meet him in the middle with his hands down, moving forward, daring Hooker to go toe-to-toe like he always does. And he will be looking for his 21st stoppage, and he's looking to move into the top 10. Some other great fights in this card. Kelvin Gastelum is dropping down to welterweight versus number 9 Sean Brady. Former flyweight champ Figueiredo is moving up to bantamweight to take on the number 8 ranked Rob Font. Former bantamweight champ Miesha Tate is back to face number 13 ranked Julia Avila. This one is going to be fun. Khalil Roundtree versus undefeated Azamat Murzakanov. Two of the scariest punchers in the light heavyweight division. Tickets for UFC Fight Night Austin, Texas go on sale Friday, November 3rd. This card is going to be fun. Get your tickets now, and I will see you in Austin.
Well, Derrick, you've stepped up to the plate on less than a month's notice. How has preparation been?
Preparation been going great. I believe that I'm ready to go 2 rounds. You know, I'm not built for 5 rounds. I don't care how much training I've been doing. So I feel like I'm ready, though, to get the job done in the first.
Well, you came into your fight in July in tremendous shape, but you don't feel you need to be that fit for a 5-rounder in Brazil?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm needed because I'm not planning on going 5 rounds at all. I'm trying to finish it the first few seconds of the fight. That felt good doing it the last, so I got to repeat that.
And let's talk about that 33-second knockout that you had in July. It was also the last fight of your old UFC contract. How much motivation did that give you in terms of the capability you know you have?
It gives me a lot of motivation, especially in the UFC renewing my contract, knowing all the stuff that I've been through and stuff like that, the type of fights I had. And for them putting their faith back into me, it gave me more motivation to go out here to show them that it's nothing that they had to worry about. No regrets re-signing me.
Did you feel you needed to get a result in that fashion to get a contract renewal?
I believe so. Last fight was to do or die to renew my contract. I believe so it was. And, you know, I wanted to do a lot more than what I did, but I'm still happy about my results.
And thank goodness that it did happen, Derrick. We know that you put bums in seats and fans tuning into those pay-per-views and main events. What does your new contract actually look like?
I have an 8-fight contract deal and very lucrative. And so I appreciate the UFC for doing that.
Wow, nice one. And congratulations. You know, you've been competing within the UFC for nearly a decade, or will be next year. What keeps you re-signing to the UFC?
I guess you could say the progression of the pay. You know, every year it's get better and better for me and a lot of the other top fighters. So I really appreciate that.
Well, you have been around long enough to see that progression, so it's obviously paying off for you. So congratulations again. And I'm assuming that you're fit and well to carry out these 8 fights.
Oh, yes, I'm free of any major injuries. I just have a little ear infection that should be healed by tomorrow, hopefully.
And Derrick, how have you found Brazil so far?
I guess you say it's been okay. You know, I haven't really went out. I ran 3 miles this morning, but I haven't really seen no tourists like sightseeing or anything like that. All I can say now is just a lot of traffic, and they have beautiful trees, and that's about it.
Now, Derrick, Curtis Blaydes was obviously slated for this fight against Almeida, but couldn't take the fight. Why was this fight the best fit for you right now?
I believe it's the right fit because I wanted to fight before the year was over, and before this fight came to tuition, me and my manager was calling the UFC to try to get a fight before the year was over, and they were saying that everything is booked up into early next year, and so I didn't want it to do that, and so they ended up calling me and saying that they had this opening. I said, okay, I'll take it. Then I didn't know it was in Brazil until I already agreed to say, all right, that's fine. Because I had told my manager before I would never fight in Brazil. Just, I never been to Brazil. Never even thought about coming here. I just always knew I didn't want to.
Why wouldn't you want to fight there?
Because of the taxes. The taxes are crazy.
Fighters actually do say the same thing about coming to Australia and New Zealand, funnily enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would never be there. I don't even think I'm allowed to come to Australia, actually.
But you have fought in Auckland before.
Oh, yeah. I think they had to sign some paperwork and get permission from some celebrities out there, I guess. I don't know.
People in high places got you the green tick. Well done, and it was a pleasure to see you down here in Auckland those few years ago. Look, in terms of Jailton Almeida, what do you make of him as a fighter?
All I know nowadays is my grappler, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I haven't watched any film on him. I haven't seen none of his fights. My coach just told me that he's good on the ground, so we just got to prepare ourselves for the ground. But he might stand and trade a little bit, but we got to prepare for it. So, I've been doing MMA for a long time, so it's not nothing new that, I know I need to work on my ground game, stuff like that. I know I need to work everywhere and be a well-rounded fighter.
And he has a few fights, under his belt within the UFC on a little tear as well. But how much does your experience come into play against a fighter like Almeida?
I believe the experience come into play a little bit because I believe this might be his first main event in the UFC. And that it takes a toll on you, especially if this is your home country. That weighs a lot on you. It's a lot of pressure goes into it. Especially him knowing that he's fighting a guy like me that likes to knock people out. Nobody want to get knocked out in front of their home crowd. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Do you need to mentally prepare yourself as well when you're walking out to that main event fight? It's Sao Paulo, Brazil, Almeida's home country. We all know the Brazilian fans can get quite rowdy.
Yeah, of course. I think about as soon as I sign the contract, I think about thousands of things that could happen and stuff like that. So I thought about that scenario also, that what could happen whenever I step inside the octagon or fight day or what. So I thought about that also. So I don't want to be surprised by nothing. Nothing can surprise me fight night.
Well, lucky you're a fan favorite too, so that is very helpful.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll see Saturday.
What does the rest of the week look like for you, Derrick?
Just laying in bed. That's it. Laying in bed, watching South Park, rewatching Rick and Morty episodes. That's about it.
Are those your favorites?
That's my favorite, yes. My ritual that I always do.
Well, I can see where the sense of humour comes now, but Derrick, go well, rest up, and can't wait to see you in action this weekend.
Hopefully I don't disappoint. I don't plan on it. Thanks for having me.
The UFC celebrates 30 years this year, and I have had the pleasure to catch up with some of the Kiwis who have made an impact on that history. Dylan "The Villain" Andrews was the first New Zealander to compete on the UFC hit show The Ultimate Fighter, and here is his story.
I was born and raised in Lower Hutt, Wellington. I lived there till I was 22, I think, before I moved to Australia. Had done no previous mixed martial arts training or martial arts training in general. I didn't actually start training till I was 25. So I started very late, and it wasn't a case And I was like, I used to watch the UFC and I used to be like, oh, how is that guy? How is that guy? How is that guy? Oh, well, he's 30 this, he's 30 that. Okay, so if I'm 25 and that guy's 30, okay, so what do I need to do? Okay, so if I just train twice a day, every day, until I get there, in theory I should take. And I never actually got a timeline. I never actually had that. Okay, I should actually be here then. You know what I mean? So when people ask me, oh, how did you, how did you do it? Or how did you make it? Or like, it must have been. And I said, listen, guys, all you have to do is you have to sacrifice everything. Then it's like, okay, you have to, your family life is gone. Your social life is gone. Your friends are gone. Take everything that is comforting away from you. Take it all away. You can't have it. I'm going to take it away for you. And I'm not going to give it back. You're not getting it back until you make the UFC. So what I did was, I trained every day for 6 years straight, twice a day, gave up everything. And then 6 years later, I was on The Ultimate Fighter. That was it. That's, and you know what? It doesn't do it justice, but when the boys, for example, the boys come to me at a problem in the gym and say, listen, what do I need to do to make the UFC? I say, listen, you just need to show up. That's it. I sacrificed everything. I sacrificed everything.
Dylan Andrews here, Heartbreak sponsored professional MMA fighter. I've just been given the news from Cole, his trainer, that he'll be going to Vegas to try out for Ultimate Fighter. How does it feel? Has it sunk in yet, brother?
Nah, bro, not yet.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Well, actually, you know what? It's real now, so hopefully we're off this Friday and kick some ass on Monday.
If I wasn't competing or if I wasn't training, I wasn't bridging that gap per se to get to the UFC. So I had to keep training and I had to keep fighting and I had to do it because I was on the clock. And I had a friend who lived in Vegas and he would tell me, okay, the Ultimate Fighter's on. Okay, we're auditioning for middleweights, or because as you know, when you audition for the Ultimate Fighter, what they do is they put out a casting to the world and they say, hey, listen, we're taking middleweights and welterweights. But the thing is, what people don't know is before they started getting onto it, it was whoever was going to show up the most. So okay, if they said we're going to have lightweights and featherweights, it was like, okay, you could do really well in your audition in the lightweights, and they'll say, you know what, there's not enough lightweights here, guys, go home, we're doing featherweights because there's more featherweights. And like, you're telling people from around the world to go home. So they've invested this money, they've invested whatever to fly to Vegas and audition, which I never had a problem with. I never had a problem. So I was disappointed 3 times. I'd gone through the Ultimate Fighter 3 times, trialed. It just so happened that on the 4th trial, which was in Vegas for season 17, I was like, my mate who lives in Vegas was like, hey bro, they're doing middleweights, man. And this was 2 weeks out from the trials, and I was like, give me till the end of the day. I think I called him back in about an hour or 2 and I said, all right, I'm booked, I'm coming to Vegas. I flew to Vegas, walked in, there was, I think at the time, there was around between 400 or 600 middleweights trying out in Vegas. So I walk in, and as you know, I don't know if people know the process. Basically what they do is, so there's 600. You get blocked off in groups of 20, all the way up to 200. And basically what they do is they take you into a hall, a big hall, and you've got Joe Silva. This was back in the day when Joe Silva, the matchmaker, was there. You had Dana White on the panel. You had all these guys there. And the first round is grappling wrestling. They do is they bring 20 men into a room, 1 to 20, and basically what they do is they call out 2 numbers, and those people go to the middle of the mat and they start wrestling for however long, for Dana White, Joe Silva, and all these guys. So naturally, you got 20 males in a room, all numbered off. And basically what happens for that half an hour while everyone's wrestling is you're just staring at every man because you're like, okay, are you going to be the guy that I'm going to fight? So that's how it is until your number's called out. Fortunately or unfortunately, again, I was the last number to be called out. Beautiful. Okay, so I start wrestling with this guy. We just go at it. Awesome. And then basically after that's done, Joe Silver will say, okay, he cuts that 20 in half to 10. And he'll say number 1, number 5. He'll start calling numbers out. I was the last number to be called out in the grappling. Okay, deep breath. Okay, I make it to the next round. And again, that sounds easy, but I was like, oh man, it was intense. Having to be the last number called. The next round you go through to striking. So basically what they do is they have their pad coaches, striking trainers come in, and you start working with them. Joe Silver again, Dana White, everyone starts watching you and seeing how you perform. Again, I don't know why they're doing this to me, man, but I was the last number to be called again in the striking. Dylan, you go through to the next round. Boom. Okay, so now I go through to the first interview. First interview, cool, blah, 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 blah. You just have a meeting with Spike TV, which is sort of a Spike panel of executives, stuff like that. Cool, awesome. Make it through that round. And then the next round is with ultimately the people who decide whether you're going to be on the show, which is Spike, like the highwigs of Spike TV, all the big people. And so I go through this interview, he looks at it, he goes, oh, okay. Oh, you're a Kiwi. All Blacks. Awesome, there's some commonality. So we start talking about the All Blacks. I start sort of trying to build a rapport. Granted, I've done this 4 times. I sort of know where I'm going with it. So we start talking, and then it's awesome. And then he says to me, all right, get the F out of here. Don't know if I can swear, I'm not going to anyway. He says, get the F out of here. And I'm like, I'm just in shock. And I instinctively get up. I walk out of the boardroom, and it's the longest walk. And I'm walking to these giant wooden doors that open. And I'm just walking down there. And I open the door, and I'm like, 4 times. Like, I've done this 4 times. I can't fail. I can't. And I just close the door, and I turn back around, and I walk back. I don't know what's going through my head. I'm just thinking maybe if I just like, not big, but like if I just tell him I need this, like I can't go back home again. This is it. This is what was going on in my head. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, what the F are you doing? And I go, I can't leave, man. Get the F out. And I'm just like, and it felt like an hour, but he goes, get the F out, you're in. And I'm like, I just smiled. I didn't say anything to him. I put my head down, I turned around, I walked. I opened the doors and I walk out and there's just hundreds of people lined up down this corridor. And my mate is what feels like 100 meters down the end. He's just like right down the end in the middle of the crowd. He's just like, and I'm like, I just smile and I just go thumbs up and I put my head down and I just walk past all these middleweights. And I was just like, I can't believe it. I did it. And it was like 6 years of training, sacrifice. Every single thing that I'd gone through just flew through my head like a movie, like it just all started replaying like a film, just going. And I was like, I can't believe it. And that was it. I'd done it. There wasn't a day that went by that I did not love the solitude of being in that house and knowing that what I was doing was making a difference. I was looking around me at other people who are breaking. Who are breaking because it's not for everybody. You had to. It's kind of weird. It's, you know what? It's weird in a sense of like just males establishing dominance which had to be on day one. It felt very primal in the sense of, you think about animals in the wild, and this is just where my head goes and stuff like. And we're not that different. And that house was like that. It was like trying to be the king of the jungle. You had to go in and you had to establish dominance quick, because that would kind of pave the way for your path for that 8 weeks, So it was very much going in there on day one and giving your best performance. Again, I was a Kiwi. Nothing was expected. No one cared. I could have literally left the show and no one would have even noticed. Which is, I knew that was the card I'd been dealt. I knew no one had any expectations. I even had my coaches say that after I won my first fight. And it wasn't until I had my fight with probably Luke that they're like, oh shit, okay, maybe this guy can fight. But I wanted, that wasn't nothing new, that no one was picking me, or that I was sort of an underdog, or no one expected anything from me. That was nothing new. That was my life. My life had prepared me for this moment. And I was fully aware of that. And that was what I was taking in that somebody else didn't have. I knew they didn't have that. I remember when Jamie first fought, like in Sydney, and I just remember being so proud. Like, we had met each other through passing and stuff like that at events and all that kind of stuff, and I trained with him previously, but I just remember going and just running to the stadium because I didn't want to miss his fight because he was first up, and I remember going in there, and then he was just about to walk out, and Shefu come on. I think he plays Shefu Waka.
Back here with the UFC prelims on Fuel TV, there's a live look at James Tahuna. He's won 7 of his last 8. 8 wins by knockout. He's been a first-round finisher as well. This is a powerhouse, Kenny, a strong, powerful striker who many have said if the technique eventually catches up to the power, look out.
Yeah, very fast, athletic guy who, has been slowly filling in the holes in his mixed martial arts game, but so much potential in this kid.
And I remember the concrete under me was shaking. And I was like, I was so proud. Like, I couldn't even explain how proud I was. I was so proud that he was there. I was like, I think that was the catalyst. I think that was like, I've got to do this. Like, I think I had the light bulb moment. I always had it, but I was like, he proved that a Māori can be in the UFC. That's what that did for me. That was like, okay, if I ever had any doubts about a Māori being in the UFC, he just solidified that. And I just remember him walking out just like, oh my God, this is the best moment. And it was the best moment for me. It was bigger than anything, sport-wise. I was like, this is unbelievable. Because I was like, I want to be in the UFC. That Māori's in the UFC. He's making the walk. And that music and the rattling, that energy, I was like, I need to feel this, man. This is tense. And I was just like, and then I seen him after the fight, and I was just like, oh man, that was amazing, bro. That was so good. And I was like, yep, back to training, man. Let's hustle, And that was, I think that was 2011. And then a year later, I auditioned for the 4th season. And it was like, man, full speed ahead, let's go. I'm sure Jamie's going to watch this. I don't want to get a fat head. But, he's just, he catapulted it, regardless of results, regardless of anything. He deserved to be that man who brought the UFC to New Zealand and represent it in the way that he did. I'm very proud. It's amazing what I've found is, what's amazing is when someone actually gives you a compliment. I never had compliments. Never had compliments growing up. So when my first coach in Sydney, who I started training with, who I thank so much, who literally molded me into who I am now, which is crazy. The 4 years that I spent at the Lions Den in Sydney with Luke Pizzuti, he molded. I know I had the things going on that also fuel me and stuff like that, but he almost gave my life direction as far as MMA. So my heroes and everything like that, it's just my coaches and my training partners. They're people that need the credit. They're the people that got me to where I am, you know. So it's amazing what a coach can do. Okay, we can talk about, I guess, my debut walk on my debut in the UFC in Vegas. That was pretty amazing, you know. I had Don't Forget Your Roots playing in front of a live crowd, 18,000 people screaming my name. That was pretty amazing, you know. But I don't think about that as much as I think about when I was hit one time and I was out cold and I was lying underneath somebody and that person didn't finish me because he thought I was awake, and I was like, I'm going through the motions in my head like, if you don't do this, this is it, it's the end. Like, you're off the show, man, you're done. That's it, you're going home. Like, and to be able to flick the switch, and not just flick the switch, like, let's flick the switch when nothing is going right. Flick the switch in life when nothing is going right for you. It's like life, man. You know what I mean? That's a powerful thing when you can be dealt shit in life and everything is going wrong for you, nothing is going right, and you think there's no way out, and there's something inside you that just makes you say, Dylan, fight, someone fight. You gotta fight back. Again, mixed martial arts, man. That's what it does for me. Prepares me for life. I love it. Mellows me out.
UFC Fight Night, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Almeida versus Lewis goes down this Sunday. The prelims start at 11 a.m. The main card kicks off at 2 p.m. All the action will be live on ESPN2. Hei kona mai.
Tonight, top 10 UFC heavyweights take center stage. Surging phenom, Jailton Almeida hunts for a 15th consecutive stoppage victory against the man with the most knockouts in UFC history, Derrick Lewis. Plus, welterweight finishers collide as undefeated Gabriel Bonfim meets Danish dynamite Nicholas Dalby. Only on ESPN+.